Thank you all so much for being here. If you haven't heard Jenna speak before, she is fantastic. You all are in for a really great lesson and a really good lunch and learn. I want to introduce Brian Burke. He is our head honcho, CEO, owner of Howard Elliott. And then I'll let him speak for a second, and then we'll get Jenna going.
Just wanted to welcome you all to Howard Elliott. It's exciting to have you all here. It's exciting to see such a great turnout during market. And I'm really excited to learn along with you, with Jenna. And she's really on the cutting edge of all of this AI stuff and how it's going to help us all. We've already incorporated a lot into our practices day to day and how we're operating from our website to our product development. It's really exciting how efficient and cost effective it can all be. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jenna.
One quick thing, I do want to thank IDS for helping us sponsor this event.
Yes,
and Jenna for being willing to come here and do all of this for you all. So,
Hey everybody, we're gonna need a bigger showroom next year, I think, if we do this again. So what? Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys my presentation deck today. Okay. So if you cannot see the screen and if you want to grab it real quick right now, I'm gonna give you access to actually view it. Okay. Just please don't go ahead because it won't make sense. So give me 1 sec here, and I'll put the QR code up on the screen. And you can scan that. So that's today's notes. If you all are still providing your clients with PDFs instead of website landing pages, you might want to consider turning them into a website like this. That's what today's presentation is. It's from Canva, and I don't do PDFs anymore. I don't have any more space on my phones for PDFs anymore. So I send landing pages to my clients. And that's what today's presentation is, and that's what all my clients' presentation decks are. I can also just tell you what the URL is. It is aiworkshopnotes.com/AI-essentials. Yep, aiworkshopnotes.com/AI-essentials, or the QR code. All right, I'm going to come back to that. So if you did miss it, no worries. We'll come back. What's that? You want it again? Yep. What? How many people are using ChatGPT? Excellent. Who's paying for it? Even better. Okay, good. Who's using Gemini? Okay, that's my favorite, actually. I don't use ChatGPT as much anymore. And I know that sounds crazy, but Gemini is one that I'm going to be talking about today by Google. And because I am Google-based, it just makes the most sense, okay? You are not all going to have the same programs that you're going to be using. Everybody here in this room is going to have a different tech stack, a different combination of tools. I'm not here to give you one tool. I'm here to show you the options that are out there and where to find them in your existing tools, okay? We good on the QR code? Can I bump around for a second? Okay. All right, so in here, you're going to find all of my AI tools that I recommend. My job is to test tools and then tell you guys about it. And I made that job up. Like I'm an interior designer, so I just enjoy doing these things. And I want you guys to have access and understand how they actually work for our profession, okay? So these tools are in here. I update it very frequently. And I've actually pulled off half the tools on that list because they are obsolete from when I started that tool list a year ago. That's how quickly we are moving and how quickly these big AI models that we're going to talk about today are making these smaller apps become obsolete within a matter of minutes when they push a new update, okay? I got a secret little app in there for you too. You're going to like that, I think, but we'll talk about that last. What can you do with AI? Before we even start talking about the tools, we need to talk about why are we using these tools? Like, what's in it for us, right? Because if you don't have a benefit or a reason to use AI, you're not going to want to adapt it, and it's not going to be enjoyable for you, right? So research and trends, being able to just quickly figure out what's on trend. You know, how can I research ADA compliance for this client-specific project and do that in a greater and deeper sense than you could ever do with Google. Okay. I don't really Google anymore. Like I don't Google it. I have chat conversations and I educate myself. Okay. Google is pretty much dead in the way that we have used it. Brainstorming and planning, just like having those late night ideas and then late night conversations with your custom GPTs about where am I going with my life? What am I doing with my career? Right? Okay. I know you guys have been doing that. That's why you're laughing, right? So that is part of this, like brainstorming and planning, I think is one of the main things that people use it for. And also just rewriting your emails. I think that's where a lot of people start, right? I know this could sound better or nicer. How am I going to have AI rewrite it for me? And that's like the low hanging fruit. That's where people generally start. So writing and editing. And of course, visual imagery. I'm going to talk about that last because that is what a lot of designers want to talk about. But honestly, for me, visual imagery is like the bottom of my stack. I want to be more proficient on the operation side of my business, and that is where AI comes into play. I'm a designer. I can design. I don't need AI to do that for me. I need it to do it faster for me, and so that I can get what's in here out there to my client, make decisions. That's how I use it. I don't use it to replace what I do. Content creation, the bane of our existence. We did not start our business to be social media gurus, right? Like we now have to do that to stay relevant. So if we can take our words and repurpose the things that we say anyway into new content that we can use on social media, it's going to help us get more business and work smarter versus double time work. Of course, we have the workflow and automation. There's so many things we can now automate. Sorry, I have somebody joining. I'm recording. We can automate everything so that it takes a lot of the manual. Okay, I have this. I need to go here. We can do little zaps. I'll talk about that in a second and work a lot faster. How long does everybody take to source for projects? Is that like probably one of the most time-consuming things? This is helpful. Okay, I'm going to show you some tools today, some of my favorite tools, and inside of those tools, how you can just find things faster that you're looking for. And then, of course, video and animation. So it is fairly accurate now if you want to turn your images and existing work into videos. I'll talk about that later. All right. I'm going to give you a brief background now that I give you an intro as to like why you should be here learning about AI today. So I am an interior designer myself. I have been practicing virtually since 2015, and I prefer it that way because I don't like to travel. I like to stay at home until I come to market, and I have two really little kids. So it's just been really nice to be able to visually communicate and work online. So my first company was called eDesign Tribe, and I sold that company to my Doma studio in 2021. And then I worked with them for a little bit, go back to designing because I didn't have enough time when I had that company. And then AI started really coming out on the scene, and I was like, I have to teach this. I just love teaching, and I love doing and being creative about the different use cases. So that's where we are today. All right. Here are the core AI tools that I'm going to be talking about today. ChatGPT, as we already talked about, Google Gemini, which is my favorite, Microsoft Copilot. Who's using that one in your like 365? One person using Copilot. Wow, in this whole room. Okay, who's using Microsoft for your emails? Nobody? Okay, is anybody using Google for email, like Gmail? Oh, then you guys need to be using Gemini. I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, well, Microsoft it's built in there, but I'm not going to be focusing a lot on Microsoft today, so I'm happy that not a lot of people are using it. Perplexity AI and Comet Browser. Anybody using those? This is my absolute favorite, okay? So Gemini is up there, but Perplexity is a game changer. So I started using Perplexity AI when, like, about 2 years ago, okay? As a search engine. AI through ChatGPT would always say that it was giving us accurate information. You guys remember when it would just blatantly lie to you and say, oh yeah, I just got that from the internet, but like it really never did, and you could never fact check any of that. So I needed something that was factual and cited the sources, and that's what Perplexity does. It is a non-biased research tool that scours the internet. So it's not only that, but it's like news and it's everything. but it is a chat format. So you can really get a lot out of it and figure out where did it get that information? And then you can go and do your own research. Now, the new part, sorry, I've been talking a lot. Well, I couldn't hear. Listen, my voice was back. The new part of this is the comment browser. And the comment browser is a game changer, absolute game changer. It is what we call agentic, meaning that if you say, go do that thing, it's going to go do that thing inside of your browser. Okay. This is the future. ChatGPT took this and they have their own browser. So theirs is called Atlas. That one just released. But I like Perplexity because it's actually a combination of different tools inside of their incredible existing research tool. All right. In this, if you wanted to click on this, because you all have it, if you want to click on this later, this is a free trial for a month. Okay. So that's in there for you. Okay. These guys here are also going to be your resources. Again, this is your take home for later. Before we dig into like what the tools do and how to use them, we have to talk about ethics, okay? Every single presentation that I give, I have to talk about my lines in the sand because it's the Wild West. And just because you can, should you, right? Just because they developed it, is it right? Probably not. Always disclose. You know, there's this credibility level where if you're sharing AI online and you're not saying it's AI, it does not look good for you because we can tell. And I will make sure I figure it out. So you always want to disclose for your own credibility, but for all of our credibility, because that could destroy our industry if we're sharing things and we're not being creditable about them. Okay. Resource images. When you start to create imagery, you can use any resource image you want. I do not steal other designers' work. I do not run other designers' work through my models. That is not mine. I do not own that. That is not my intellectual property. And if somebody did it to me, I would be so mad. So I have words. I can make my own images with my own words. Why would I need to go to Pinterest and take somebody else's? The issue with that is that you can put that image in and say, I want something like this, or go source everything that you see in this picture. And then you just ripped off that designer. The image that's going to come out is going to be almost exactly like their intellectual property in the original image. It doesn't feel good, right? So just, you're going to make your own decisions. For me, I do not use other designers' work. I use my words and my own work, okay? Maintain originality. These models are getting really good and you can copy and paste things, which is like, that's brilliant. I could never write it as good as it just did. But just be aware because the M dashes are a dead giveaway that it's AI, right? So you want to just make sure that like it's factual, it's actual information, and it still sounds like you, and it doesn't look like you just regurgitated from ChatGPT. Okay? And then data privacy. Everything can be hacked. You know, just be careful about what you're putting into these tools and what they have access to. We can only control the things that we can control. And that is one of the things that we can control. If you don't put in your information for your client, your billing address, you know, personal information, don't put your QuickBooks information in there. This is open information. Technically, you have a paid account, so they're not training, but I don't trust anybody. So just be aware that things could happen. Protect yourself. Okay. That's all I got. You guys need to make your own boundaries for everything, but those are mine. Those are my starting points. Okay, these are the tools that I am currently using on a weekly basis, okay? First one up top is going to be Gemini. So I use Gemini for inside my inbox, basically everything. I'll talk a little bit about it later, but Perplexity comment browser, I also use. I am in it right now. This is my Perplexity browser. I also use, of course, ChatGPT, but it's not my favorite. However, it does know my brand voice and what I do better than all my other models currently. So I do keep coming back to it. Notebook LM. Has anyone ever heard of that by Google? This is really cool. So I shared this in my AI day that I hosted yesterday. And I've been using this for about, I'd say about 18 months because one of my early podcasts was from Notebook LM. I actually uploaded one of my presentations into Notebook LM, which is basically a closed model. You upload and you feed it your own information, and then you interact with that information. So I uploaded a presentation deck I interacted with it, and then I said, okay, make me a podcast. So it's two people talking about my presentation. You can do that for any information. Not only that, but it's going to create video content for you, and they're really good based off the information that you have. You can also engage with the podcast now. So if it does the podcast recording and you want to interrupt the host and say, hey, I have a question about this topic, you can live interact with the podcast host about the content. It's wild, and I highly recommend it because you can put your client project in there and all the transcripts, all the information, and then interact and say, what do we say about the island color? What do we say about this? And it's your closed notebook. And if you want to mind map it, there's visual mind maps for everything. Like, guys, it's a game changer. And it is included in Gemini. Okay. It's also free for like 3 notebooks if you wanted to give it a try. But check it out. It's really fun. And for those of us that learn in different ways, every single output goes to the different learning styles. So you really have a lot of choices. Who uses Canva? Awesome. Love to see that. Canva can do a lot now, right? There's a lot of AI inside. We're doing a lot more things. And I actually was a Photoshop girl since college. I don't use Photoshop anymore. And you too? Yeah, I've seen a few people shaking their head because, you know, it's just, why do it when I have to do it in Canva anyway? Why would I do double the work? Canva can do it. And I can take my presentation decks and just make a website and then send my client a website. I can password protect it if I want to. Okay, so Canva is a game changer. I use my Doma Studio, of course, for my project management and rendering. I render still if I need accurate floor plans because AI is not doing that. Okay, AI is not replacing my renders at all. It is visual communication for concepts and for ideation. But if we need something to scale, that is not AI right now. Okay. All right. Anybody use a note transcriber? This is a note transcriber? Okay. What do you use it? Okay. Anybody using the native one built into your phone? It's already there. So go to your notes section of your phone. And if you've got a Samsung, mine's in my notes. I can also just toggle on recording. And then if you are in a iOS device, you'll go to your notes and you can actually record your voice into transcribed note clips. And then it'll extract all the text for you. Okay. So I am all thumbs when I'm typing. So what I love to do is voice clips, especially when I'm driving my kids around, because I can be driving and make my voice clips, copy that later, and then repurpose it. All right. So while you're walking around showrooms, highly recommend you just say, here's a product, here's the showroom. I love this for this client. Don't sit here and write notes the entire time you're here. What a waste of time. Nothing to see. Be on the go, just making voice clips. Okay. That's going to speed your time up.
What's the difference from voice to text? Like is it?
So it is that. It's dictation.
Okay.
Yep. I do not recommend doing it directly into like a large language model like ChatGPT or Gemini. Okay. You can if you're just having one conversation, but if you're taking notes and like walking around, the conversation gets too long and it gets very confused, and then it starts to hallucinate, which is their nerd term. It goes crazy. Yeah, it's not understanding anymore. All right, Typeform. I've always used Typeform since I started my business. This is how I intake all my client information, how I get a spreadsheet. I put like AI images in there so they can visually see styles, because I can't explain a style to somebody that doesn't know what a style is, right? So I just say, what do you like? And then we talk about it. But Typeform is my intake for that. And it's AI infused in a lot of different ways. I use Loom. The videos that I send to my clients of like floor plans, walkthroughs, I'm virtual. I don't want to work locally, to be totally honest with you, because I don't have time to be running all over the place. So working virtually, I record a Loom video and then I send it to my client and then we discuss it. Okay. And those are just quick little Friday update type things. And you see my face, so it's still connected. All right. Those also can be repurposed. You can grab the transcript. You can put it on social media, do whatever you want. This is also where I record all my videos for my program called The Daily. Loom also has a note taker that will join your Zoom meetings or any other meeting that you want to invite it to. Okay. Mine just tried to join, and so I had to kick it out of this one because I'm recording right now in Google Meet. This is just a Google Meet. I'm sharing my screen. I got my mic onto my phone. Hopefully it's working. We'll see. When I do this, it is included in my Google Workspace. So it's free, right? I'm free because I'm paying for Workspace. And I don't have to pay for Zoom. I am on my way of like getting Zoom out of my life because it's expensive. They keep tacking on all these things. I don't know if anybody uses it here, but like, I don't need your AI companion when I have 10,000 other AI companions, and I don't want to be paying for that. And if it's included in Gemini and I start a meeting, which is what I'm doing right now, and I can record, get the transcription sent directly to my Google Docs and then repurpose it later, that's what I'm going to do. It's already internal and it's working for me in a workflow. So think about the tools that you already have, and we're going to start there and see what they have inside that you could already use. Now, before we get to these specific tools and use cases, a lot of people use AI and ask it questions. And they're like, okay, I need you to do this for me. Or what do you think about that? And half the time it lies. Let's be honest, it doesn't know everything. And it thinks that it does. But realistically, if somebody was not an expert on that topic, they could be definitely spreading misinformation if they don't know what they're talking about, right? So if you use your words first to dictate something into your phone, grab a voice clip of it, maybe have a meeting with a client, and then take that transcript, plug it into one of your AI models and say, repurpose my words, my voice, and my content to be a blog post, to be a social media post, to be something else, then everything about that new content is yours, right? Your brand voice, the education behind it, everything that you said was not AI. You can have AI come in and like plug a few more things in and embellish it a little bit, but this is how I use AI. I talk to it and then I repurpose my words. So I'm always talking. I'm never really typing. I'm always using my voice. All right. Let's talk about some core tools and what they all do. Now, in here, this is kind of like my little diagram for my favorites. There's a lot more models out there, guys. I'm not going to bog you down with how many other ones there are, but in our industry, these ones work for us. Okay, so that's why I'm like funneling it down to 4. So Gemini is great for Google users for your visual projects, because there's also Nano Banana. Anybody familiar with that term? So a little bit later. That's inside, it's inside my documents. So like if I'm just working on a document, it's already there. You just want to be looking for this symbol. Okay, when you're in your Google Workspace, when you're in your email, look for that diamond, that spark, because that will activate your Gemini. And then you can start saying, okay, go find these emails for me, or go do this thing for me. And so just start looking for that when you've logged into your Google. Copilot users, you're going to be looking for the Copilot symbol. All right, that same difference. It's just their model of it. So look in like the type of the top right-hand corner. They're generally around right here in your browsers, okay? ChatGPT is basically, you know, everything. Like it does all the things. So you can brainstorm, you can create images, videos, all that stuff, but it connects and plays well with like everything, okay? So if you're not necessarily using Google or something else, you can always supplement your AI tools with ChatGPT, of course. Okay, it's not like you have to use Google and go one direction. You can pick and choose. Same with Perplexity. So these two here can go with, you know, if you're a Microsoft Copilot user, you're probably not also going to be using Gemini. You're going to be like, okay, Microsoft's not doing it for me everywhere that I need it to, so I'm going to look into Perplexity, or I'm going to look into ChatGPT. Generally, you're only going to need like 2 tools that you see on the screen, maybe 2 tools, okay? So this is another breakdown. You all have this in here. I gave you all even more information, and it should be up to date as of 2 days ago. I tried to stay on top of this. So these are the prices, okay? Generally, it's all around the same price, you know, per month for what we need. It's generally a pro account that you're going to be looking for. It's going to be about $20, okay? So this is in your information. I have other charts I'll show you in a second. Let's see. So device compatibility. How many people have downloaded the ChatGPT app to your phone? Okay. Did you get the right app? the first time? Or did you try and get like other things that they call ChatGPT? Okay, good. That was happening for a while where people were signing up because it was like, you know, other apps that they use ChatGPT interface to build. So I'm glad that you have the right one, but all of these other tools have apps too. So Perplexity has an app, Gemini has an app. Grab them and put them on your phone, because this is when I talk to it in my car. This is when I'm having full-on brainstorm conversations after I drop off my son at preschool, okay? So this is where I start my day every day talking to my app. And then when I sit down at my computer, I activate my assistant and I say, what emails did I get last night? Go look, give me recaps, write replies. Okay, that's right here in my browser, unlimited. So that's agentic AI. We're not going to get too deep into that, but browsers, that's where I was going with that one. So laptop, phone, apps and widgets. Yesterday we talked about this as well. Do you guys know what a widget is on your phone? So basically, if you don't, it is something that instead of going to ChatGPT app, you can just have the widget on your phone so you can start a conversation or just start typing right away. So it's a bigger version of the app and it just cuts to the chase. Android users, we've had them for years, but Apple just got them. Okay, model feature comparisons. I'm not going to sit here and read all of this right now, but the features you can see, like, they basically are all kind of in the same wheelhouse. They all are neck and neck, trying to be the best, trying to be the first, right? So if I had to choose one right now, though, that does pretty much everything in the way that I want it to do, it would be Gemini, and then Perplexity to supplement the browser. So here is a breakdown of what I would recommend at this point in time. This might be different in a month, okay? I update this guy. I actually updated this morning. It took something off because Perplexity acquired the other software. So Visual Electric was what I took off. It was one of my favorite image generators. And I took it off of here because it's now hopefully going to be built into Perplexity's browser. But for research and product sourcing, I highly recommend doing deep research. Is anybody familiar with deep research, that term? Okay, I'll show you what that means in a minute. That is where you're going to get the most accurate and deep information. So for that, you can use really any of these models. Agentic AI, now we have, so Perplexity, and we also have ChatGPT. And agentic, the difference, remember, is just that it does it for you, okay? So it's just an agent on your behalf or an assistant. If you want to put real products into real spaces, Gemini, okay? Gemini with Nano Banana is the thing in there. You guys actually have an app that I built that I'm beta testing for a short period of time right inside this, okay? It is built on Nano Banana. So it is free for you to try for right now, okay? I just want to see like what happens and if you guys like it. But basically what I've done is tried to harness the whole long chat conversation that you would have to try and create these images and make it a very simple interface, because that can be time consuming and it's daunting to be able to do that. Okay, video, I recommend a Gemini VO3, so it's already built into that chat conversation, and Midjourney does a really good job. And I recommend those two because they don't change anything if you're using a real photo. So there's specific prompts that I use for that, but if you want to basically do a tour or a fly through, you can use those two and it won't change your stuff. It'll still be your picture, okay? And then floor plans, humans do those. Robots don't do those, okay? That is our job, to make sure that in the two-dimensional space, it will work in the three-dimensional space. We live here, robots don't, right? So humans do floor plans. AI will be assisting, but we do that. All right. Talk about some core features. So, by the way, these are called LLMs. They're large language models, okay? That is just high level. What a lot of these are, not all of them are specifically large language models themselves, but I'm not going to get super technical because they rely on other tools. All right. So here's just a summary of what you can actually do with them. When you open it up, this is probably what every single person has done in this room. You open it up and you have a chat conversation, right? You text, it texts back. You can also build custom GPTs. Has anybody built a custom GPT before? Awesome. What kind have you built? Assistant? Marketing assistant. Okay. How about you?
Contract advisor.
Ooh, good one. Yeah. Did you say you did?
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. So these GPTs are pre-trained transformers, basically meaning that you train them on instructions and information And then it knows how you like things done and what you are looking for. You can make them in about 3 minutes in ChatGPT. It is just part of the program. All right. Deep research is also part of the program. And I'll show you a little bit about that in a minute. But when you have this simple regular chat conversation, you're getting just simple answers. You're going to give it context, right? So you're going to get generally pretty good answers. They're simple. They're not in depth. And sometimes it takes a whole chat conversation to get where you're going, right? But if you want to really research something, toggle on deep research. All you got to do is press the plus on the majority of these programs in the chat. You say deep research or research there. You give it context, and I'll talk about some things that you can use for context in a minute. And then once it has that context, it goes and it scours the internet for thousands of websites. It'll come back to you in about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on the depth of your question, with reports, like full-on reports, summaries, spreadsheets, whatever you have asked for. There's going to be a very detailed report and analysis for you. Highly recommend that also for sourcing product, comparing product. I do it a lot with Perplexity and Gemini. I do it with all of them just because I like to compare, but those would be my top 2 favorites. To take a CSV file of all the products in one of my projects and say, is everything in stock right now? As long as it's open and I can view it and not have to log in, then it can do it. If I have to log in to a trade site, you're going to do that through Perplexity. Because if you log into anything in your Perplexity browser and say, go to Howard Elliott, I'm already logged in, it can go and look at those things. Now, their website's awesome because it already has AI. We've already done trainings on this. It's fantastic. If you guys haven't checked it out, you can find things really quickly. But if you are logged in and you want to see that inventory, that's when Perplexity, you can put it on the job for you. Okay. But with deep research, if you just say, go, here's my spreadsheet, go find every place that has this on the internet, or go find alternatives, or tell me stock and inventory, that's a great use case. It's just one of the use cases. And then agents are multi-step workflows. So like you're chatting with agents, right? You're having conversations. And then after that, you're like, okay, we got it. We figured out what the mission is here. Now go do that. Okay. That's really the main difference here. The other ones are just chat. The agent's going to do. I just talked about that one. So AI model and training materials. Think of it as training your intern. Like what would you train a new employee on, right? Probably meetings, transcripts that you have, try and record those, blog posts that you've written, social media captions, voice clips, like just record your voice and just like brain dump sometimes and get it all out, all right? Proposals, presentations, if you put these into your tools and you say, here's my template for how I like things done, here's my client transcript from our onboarding conversation, can you now turn this transcript into my proposal using my template? I hate writing proposals, and that speeds up my process. And then it's templated out and beautiful in Canva. So I drag and drop and read it and alter it a little bit, but generally I have a start point and I have a transcript and we have a final product within about an hour. Okay, so yeah, anything here is relevant and helpful. All right, I'm going to get a little bit more into deep research for a second because this is really a helpful tool for us. It really is. So it understands the big picture. Like if you were to just go have a conversation with ChatGPT, you're constantly like, okay, now there's this information, and it's very like back and forth, right? But with deep research, it's like, okay, let me ask you a few questions to make sure I understand. All right, I understand. Let me come back to you with everything that you need to know about this topic and where you can find that information. So it makes a plan, it goes hunting everywhere, it reads, it connects the dots, and then it puts it all together. It also checks for hallucinations. So that's where like long chat threads and conversations just start to go off the rails in these models. And if that ever happens, this is a way for you to basically get more accurate information. So those long conversations with, hey, go research this, hey, go research that. And then 2 hours later, you've got this huge chat thread and things start going sideways. That doesn't happen with research because it's just one task and it's doing it very deeply. Here is how you're actually going to go and activate that. So in ChatGPT, you press the plus. In Gemini, it's going to be right here as well. A lot of these also kind of started floating on the screen now. So just be aware that they are there and that's what that does. So don't be afraid of it. Just have a question for it and ask it to do something. In Microsoft, it's right here. And then in Perplexity, in the comment browser, it's just Perplexity. Like it already is a deep research tool, okay? I'm gonna skip that because I already did it. All right, I'm gonna play this, maybe. We'll see if the sound is gonna work. Sorry. Echo. Okay, so you're going to move forward in the space, pan towards, and then you're going to give it a focal point. So on that one, I said, go towards the backsplash under the range. So I gave it that target area. Okay. If you have it move where it cannot see, it will make things up, and that's when things get weird. Yep. Yep. That's one photo. So this one is one photo. In just regular Gemini, you can only use one photo at a time right now. I do developer stuff on the back end too, so I can actually use more. So that's probably coming in the pipeline. In Midjourney, you can do multiple photos and see them together. Okay, so a start point and an end point. So sometimes I create that way. I'll show you some of those actually. But with this one, it's one photo that just, yeah. I mean, I gave it all the criteria for it, but it was a very, very simple prompt. So just yeah. Yeah, so because the photo is larger and my starting point was there, with it being there, it's better to zoom in. So if you want that, take it out, put it in your other tools, and then say reverse this clip, and then it moves backwards, right?
So you should get a wide angle to get the effect of zooming out to a full.
I don't actually love the wide angle. That's just kind of what I had because a lot of my video goes on social media and that's a vertical format. So the horizontal crops, but it is great for banners and slideshows and things like this. But if you can focal, we can talk later if you need some tips. Yeah. All right. So sorry, we got caught up in the video for a second, but generative AI is a part of artificial intelligence. It is literally like what is making the text, the images, the videos. Okay. And the way that it learns is by learning from humans, and then it is algorithmic. So it is like predictive text, if you want to think of it that way. It is not storing your photos. It is not storing the things that it learned on. It has like locked that in its zeros and ones into its computer system. And then when you ask a question with a specific series of words and references, it's like, okay, what do I predict based off all of my infinite knowledge that I've seen? How can I have this output, you know, and predict that type of thing? So it's not locking in your images. And I know that that is something that designers are, you know, it's an issue, right? Like it trained this model by stealing my work from my website. I do have a, you know, I feel better knowing that it doesn't have all of my web images just stored somewhere. There's no way that it could possibly store all of that. So it has remembered it, retained it, learned from it, and then create something different. So these are the tools that I'm using for generative AI right now. Had you asked, except for Adobe, but it is an option. So if you had asked me a month ago what tools, this would have been a much longer list. But those two on the top wiped out all the other ones. So all of those other ones have now become obsolete. You guys remember how many apps over the past like 18 months there's been for upload your photo and see your real space or get ideas for design. And they're all towards homeowners. Pretty much all of those now just got wiped out because you can do it in ChatGPT. You can do it in Gemini. So nobody's going to pay them $50 a month to use those apps when we can just do it here, right? So they're going to keep getting better and better, and all these little apps are going to start closing down if they don't have anything that's different and innovative. I also use Canva to create some videos. I think I put one in here for you. It's not great, but it's okay. Animals and people are still really weird. So Midjourney is great as well. It's only $10 a month. You can do video and images. Okay, so that's a great starting point too. And then Adobe Photoshop and their other tools. You also have access to this. It is a breakdown of all the tools, what they do. Okay, so this is a reference for you for when you get back to the office. And I already talked about that. So what can you use to make your own imagery? You can use, of course, your words, right? Your text prompts, floor plans, but to an extent, okay? At this point in time, the scale, the accuracy, it's just not really there. And that's why I'm saying you still have to do your floor plans. You still have to make sure that they're accurate, but you can use them to basically extract. If you upload your floor plan and say, extract all the measurements from this room, or what is the square footage of this elevation? You know, if you have numbers and written text on it, it can read that and then interpret or extract that information on. So what I like to do with my large floor plans is I upload them into one of these models and I say, can you just read off all the rooms for me? And so I'm lazy because I don't want to have to keep writing all of these down in, you know, where I'm storing all my information, and it will look at the floor plan and then make me a nice little list with area, you know, the square footage of every room, and then like a really nice little chart. So you can do that part, but floor plans are not really going to help you with your images. Elevation, so if you've got line drawings or anything like that, you can use those and make them come to life with material boards or prompts or just, you know, other ideas that you want to see and can verbalize. Pictures and links. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Material lists. You can upload your spreadsheets of your materials. You do need the pictures though. Like you have to copy and paste the picture of the product into your chat thread. If you put in a website like URL to the product, it's not going to work because it does not see the image. It actually can't grab that image from the website and put it in. So it will extract things like a pattern repeat, which is really good to know, right? It needs to know the materials, the textures, how to render that in the image. So that's why having a supporting link for your images is really helpful. But you do also need to say, okay, I want that care in there. Here's the paint color, and upload a swatch of that. Renderings, so like I take my renderings and I enhance them in here, and I just make them come to life. Concept boards, line drawings, sketches. I cannot draw to save my life. That's why I do digital stuff, because I have never been a drawer, but it takes my terrible sketches and brings them to reality, which is really cool. So if you are a good drawer, you can do some really cool stuff. And of course, color palettes. Let's talk about the challenges though, because as good as it still is really not perfect by any means, okay? So it struggles with real room dimensions and layout. I mean, you could tell it till you're blue in the face what you actually want with these sizes that you want it. And it's like, okay, sure, I'm just gonna do whatever I want and it's gonna come out with that. So just have patience. And if you find that you're kind of spinning your wheels, start a new conversation, okay? Because sometimes the conversation goes south real quick and it's not listening to you at all. You didn't just start a new one, okay? That'll definitely help you. It creates products and features that just aren't real in reality, right? I think that was one of the major issues when it first started. It's gotten so much better, but I still get a sofa backed up to my fireplace on the daily. Got one just yesterday, okay? It does not understand how humans live in the world. It might suggest styles or like codes, building codes that are just not legit, all right? So you can definitely use it for sourcing and information with codes, but when you're looking for actual information and visuals, it has no idea. You have to make sure that you're communicating clearly because it is literal. So if you say, I want a green living room, like my client did, oh my gosh, she got a green living room and she was laughing about it. And she sent it to me. She was like, here's what ChatGPT made for me. That's why I'm hiring you, because obviously ChatGPT can't do this. So she said, I love green. Show me green everything. It was the most green room I've ever seen. It lacks design logic. It's missing harmony and function. It misses the fine details, and it just can't replace us. Like humans to humans will just never be replaced. And I will say the nostalgia and everything that we bring to the table in our human experience is why this will never replace us. It won't. And that's what we have to hone in on when we're talking about our marketing. This is a tool. This is just like a SketchUp, right? If you use it properly, this is a tool. So in the real world, that's where we're making the connections. AI is not there.
The shortcomings of AI.
If it's happening, you're welcome to do it.
Yeah.
As long-
All right. So I need to talk about what it doesn't do, because I think that a lot of people getting into generative AI think that it's doing more to like our stuff than it actually really is. So apps don't remember your information unless you're like logged into a specific app that does like visuals or something like that, and you've signed in and you're paying for an account and you want it to remember those things. But it's not retaining yours and training your information. It is on the free ones though, okay? So like the free versions, you're just feeding them free information to train. Stop doing that. They're stealing your property, okay? Pay for it, it's $20. AI apps process your photos for a second and then it doesn't go to the storage. We just don't have enough storage facilities to like keep everybody's information. They're just not doing that. Designs maintain private unless if you choose to share or save them. You are in control of these. So always download your stuff so you have the backup, and always look at their terms and conditions, because you just never know what they've changed recently, and every app is different. So do your diligence if you're concerned about privacy and maybe like intellectual property. If you do product design or anything like that, just read their terms. Everybody's going to be different. And I've already talked about we don't steal other designers' work. All right. So the last part, I'm going to skip that. You guys have it. The last part here is going to be some examples for you. All right. This is Sandy's project, one of my clients right now. And this is entirely a concept board made with AI using actual real products that I put in there. Okay. It did change them a little bit, but it gives me a really quick visual. I didn't show this to a client. This is just for me to kind of be like, oh, that came together really nice. Okay. I can also just pop this in a Canva real quick. I got a great setup. I can override with the actual pictures if I needed to. This is a beautiful little color palette board and sample. And because I uploaded this, I was able to just extract cute little colors. I can also do that with paint samples. So I can say, go grab Sherwin-Williams, go grab Benjamin Moore, try and find the right colors for this. It's close. It's not always accurate. That's why, you know, in the real world, we're checking our palettes, right? We're looking in the right light. Yeah. Yeah, all of this is that. Yep. Yep. I do it backwards and forwards because I like to test everything. Yeah.
Those are the ones that kill me.
Yeah. Yep. They're hit or miss. So there's the dining room. Okay. So I took that stuff and I was just like, okay, put it in a room. That is her actual room. So this is her actual space. And these are actual products. Okay. This one, it made it up. This one is not real. This one, it got a little out of there, but I did try and like drop this. It's because I had too many photos in. This one right here is to a T what her room looks like with the actual products. Same with this guy here. No, I did it. Yep. I sourced it and I put it in a design board and then I put it into the room. I have a picture of the room. You say you upload it. So she asked, what if a room photo has furniture in it? You're going to upload that photo. You're going to say, remove all of the furniture, and you can point out specifically, remove the sofa, remove the rug. You can also say, remove the clutter from the space. If you've got clients that have press everywhere, you have to get all their pictures, right? So get in there and just say, remove all the clutter, and it'll give you a fresh image, and that's what you use to restage it. Because sometimes if you would say, replace this with that, you know, an override, it gets wonky, right? But if you can clean out the space first, then you have a fresh slate.
So as far as like furniture placement, so you have your furniture board, you have the room, how does it know exactly where to place it to where it makes sense?
I also uploaded the configuration because I had a vignette. So what I do is I vignette out my boards in Canva with the products that I've sourced, and then I put them in kind of the positioning. and scale, and then it drops it into the space in the configuration.
So is that going to give it for everybody?
You have it right now. Yeah. If you scanned this earlier, were you here earlier? It's on the last page. Yep. Okay, here's also what I did in my app. So this is real Sherwin-Williams paint color, real lights, real countertop, and just a few different visualizations of how that potentially looks. Okay, obviously lighting is lighting, right? So it's going to be a little bit weird, but you can always alter that super quickly in another program.
So, sorry for that question. So there's no app that can do, like you created this. This is on your app.
It's Gemini. Yeah, my app is Gemini based. Yeah, so you can absolutely do this by having the long conversation. But the way that I built the app is just, here's your picture, here's your link. Let's upload a supplemental picture to drop it into. Here is the builder that I work for. You can't hear it, but this woman opens the door and she says, hello, welcome in. I didn't tell her to do that. So this is the actual, front of this house. I said, open the doors and have a woman come to the door and say welcome and welcome. Like, I didn't tell her to say anything. VO3, this is in Google Gemini. Okay. They talk now, like all the videos talk in Gemini. Same thing I just showed you earlier. This is just a larger one. This is a rendering. This one did get a little bit wonky because things were moving, but this was a rendering that I enhanced first to make it a little bit more photorealistic. Did it with my Doma visualizer, of course.
Jenna, can you tell us what prompts you would tell it to take a rendering to this?
Yeah, so this one here, it did have to make up what's over here because that's not real and it couldn't see it. But for accuracy, I actually said pan the camera to the right. And that was it. So I like to tell it to act like a real estate fly-through video, like we're shooting something to be able to sell the house. So those are the types of things that I like to prompt with and also put in zoom into and then a specific location. Yeah, so it will be different for everybody, but it does not have to be overcomplicated. The simpler, the better, actually.
Are there different versions?
VO3 is just the video part inside. That's what they call it. Yep. So they call it the image generator Nano Banana, and they call it the video portion VO3. I actually don't do that many renderings anymore, to be totally honest with you, because my clients right now don't want to pay for them. So what I do is I do AI, like Sandy. I mean, I'll just tell you, Sandy's. I did all the shopping lists and I dropped things in and I gave her a floor plan, but I did not sit here and render for 14 hours with this entire floor. I gave her everything she needed to be able to make her decisions visually. Yes. So she's asking if I could have asked if to see something a little bit different in the image and just kind of say, can I see this bookshelf arch? Did I hear that correctly? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So you can verbalize or type in what you want to see if you don't have a supplemental photo. Okay. Sometimes if I can't find the words, if I'm not getting what I want out of it, or I don't know the terminology that I'm looking for, I will have a chat conversation with ChatGPT and I'll say, here's what I'm trying to do. Can you give me a prompt to achieve this? And then I take that prompt and put it in there. Yep. Use AI to make AI. It's already there. It knows what it's doing. Okay, this is that silly puppy. This is a rendering. And then in Canva, I did this video and I was like, okay, this rendering has the puppy walk through and it actually has like, you'll hear it. It's weird. But that is probably one of the biggest dogs I've ever seen next to that counter. And this random plant just shows up. So we're getting there. Real space exterior MLS photo that I had of a house that I designed. So with this one, I seamed together two photos in Midjourney and I was able to get two different angles. And I just said, I think the prompt for this one was something like create a panoramic drone video of this and don't make up stuff on the sides. This one was also two photos. So this bathroom, I had one side and then I also added the other side of it because I had two. And I said kind of boomerang between these two photos. That one I did in Midjourney just because you can very easily upload two things. Gemini will have it very soon if it's not already in there.
I'm sorry about, if you have several photos, do you need to upload them in a certain, order, so it guesses those?
Don't do too many photos. I would say like 2 max per video. That's when things get really weird. Also, if you are trying to add photos to an image, only add 1 image, because if you add other ones, then it tries to blend and recreate only 1 photo, and then things get really weird. So only use 1 photo at a time. All right. This app right here is what you are all welcome to use. This is something that I just created for Sandy's project because I needed an app that basically would help me walk through all of the entire process without having a whole long chat conversation using Google Gemini. So also in your notes, this is the link. You can just click it. It does require an email for right now just to sign into it. I just am in beta. I want to know who's using it. And that's the only reason. Okay. It's not going to be free forever. I just want to know what you guys think. I am constantly updating it. I'm also not a developer. So I built it for me. And it is a little wonky sometimes, but we're working on it. Okay. But it should definitely speed up your process. And half the things I showed you today, I made in this app. Okay. Yes. Powered by Gemini. Yes.
Sorry, another question. So if I had a video and I script
Yep.
and was put a video voiceover.
Yeah.
Say,
Yeah.
what program?
Okay, so VO3 can do that now, but I would probably do it in Runway. Runway is another program. It's in my tool list. That's where I like to do my transcriptions and then make real people or AI people talk. Yeah. Synthesia is another one as well.
With
It's in my
an
list.
accent?
Huh?
With an accent?
Yeah, you can specify your accent. Yeah. I don't know if it would totally pick it up. I've never tried it, but yeah. Yeah. All right, these are the notes, and that's all I got. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you all for coming. If you're not familiar with Howard Elliott, I encourage you all to walk around the showroom. This is about 40% of our overall line, so there's much more. We are mirrors, decorative accessories, accent furniture, canvas wall art.